Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're doing episode number 29 of I Build Your Teams, the series where I build my viewers' teams into the best teams possible for My Team Unlimited, competitive play, whatever you're looking to do. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I upload basically every single day. I would really appreciate your support if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, without further ado, let's not waste time. Let's hop right into it. Let's start off with the first team today, which comes in from my boy Francisco. He's got 683 KMT. All his players are badged. Tatum has 20 hops, really comfortable with them. Okay, that makes sense. One piece away from Vince Carter, bet, and beyond level 40. Don't know who to pick between Boogie and Grant. I'll say this: I'd pick Jeremy Grant. I'm not sure he plays. If you're really comfortable with Tatum, I think he's better than Tatum, and he might be better than Mobley. I definitely think you could slide him into the lineup, but it's not guaranteed. But yeah, 180K is what you're looking to spend. So definitely got a very, very solid squad. I'm not gonna lie at all. I think your weakest position, you don't really have a super weak position, I'll say. I don't think there's any like significant flaws. Like when you get Vince, I think you can play him at the 2, bring Pippen off the bench at the 2, sell RJ Barrett. I think that's something you can do just to save yourself a little bit of MT in that area. Tatum, Evan Mobley, I would get Jeremy Grant as well, and you can play 2 of those 3 guys. If you decide to play Tatum and Jeremy, then you can sell Mobley. If not, it doesn't really matter that much. And then you have Tim Duncan, D-Rob, Tyler Hansbrough, Ralph Sampson. For me personally, with that 180K, the biggest and best upgrade I think you could make would be picking up a guy like Patrick Ewing. You can play him at center, play D-Rob at power forward, and then bring Tim Duncan off the bench with Ralph Sampson. Sell yourself Tyler Hansbrough, and I think that would be the biggest upgrade that you can make while still giving yourself a lot of MT to spare for next season. That's probably the one upgrade that I'd make with the squad, maybe slotting Jeremy Grant in somewhere, and then obviously Vince once you get him. Other than that, very, very nice squad. Next team today comes in from DenverStruck. He's got 350K, plays on next gen. I like that you got Luka on next gen. He's elite on next gen. Manu is good. Ben Wallace, Pippen, Rudy, Cincy, Bull, Sean Kemp, D-Rob, and Yao. It's a really nice squad. I mean, you don't have, again, this is a squad that I don't think has significant flaws. For me personally, I'd probably play Jeremy at the backup 3 over Cincy. That's just my personal opinion. If you prefer Cincy, definitely go for it. Run him. The biggest weakness that I would say on your squad is your backup, like power forward and center, and I don't think it's bad. And I like that you have Eddie Curry as well, because I think you could play him over Yao or over Sean Kemp. And honestly, in my opinion, I think he is just plain and simple better than Sean Kemp at the backup 4. What you could also do, though, is look to pick up a guy like Patrick Ewing, kind of like what I just described with the first team. You play Ewing at the 5, you play D-Rob at the 4, you play Bull at the backup 4, and then Yao Ming or Eddie Curry, one of those 2, depending on which one's more comfortable, and depending on matchup at the 5. And that's probably the only significant change that I'd make. Maybe play Jeremy over Cincy, and then get yourself a Ewing, start him at the 5, D-Rob at the 4, Bull at the backup 4, and then Eddie Curry and Yao Ming as your backup 5 options. For me personally, that's the best way to upgrade this squad. Next team comes in from Efkan. He's got 930K, plays on next gen, willing to get rid of anybody but Luka. With this much MT and the fact that you already have a very well-built squad, a lot of size, really good team, I think I'm gonna recommend that you at least consider picking up Michael Jordan. If you want to wait till Friday, see what we get on Friday as well, and have that MT flexible, you could do that. But I think MJ is the best card in the game, period, on current and next gen. I think he's better than Luka. Obviously, Luka's elite on next gen, but I think with that much MT, I would definitely consider picking up an MJ, even if it's just a base MJ, and pick him up, start him at point guard, Luka off the bench, or vice versa. But either way, I think that's really the main upgrade to make with the squad. If you don't want to go that route, you could look for a guy like Kareem instead. Start Kareem at the 5, bring Ewing off the bench at the backup 4, and have Akeem at the backup 5. You could do something like that as well. Or you can just save the MT and wait to see what we get on Friday, so that you have the ability to, with that flexible and with a lot of MT, to pick up top cards from Friday. So a couple different options there. Definitely have a really well-built squad already, though. C4's got 100K. Says probably gonna be 200K. Likes to 3-out with his PGs. Everyone else just has to hit up and wide open play them. I definitely feel the way. I like the way that you're playing. MJ is the best card in the game. I really like any team that has MJ, because I think he really can carry you. And then the rest of your team is pretty darn solid as well. Looking to upgrade Mobley, Bull, and D-Wade. On current gen, I do think upgrading from Bull is a good idea. That being said, I'm not sure with 200,000 MT that it's worth buying Ewing. You can buy Ewing. You can buy him and play at the 5, D-Rob at the 4, Duncan at the backup 4, replace Bull, something like that. I think you can do that. But for me personally, right now, I'm not sure that's a move that I would do if it was in your situation. I might just hold on to the MT. And in terms of replacing Wade, that is not something I would do. I think Wade is arguably the second best point guard on current gen. I don't think you're going to make a significant upgrade whether you replace him with a guy like Cade or Luka, even if you do prefer that size. For me personally, though, Wade is my backup PG on my God squad. I think he is absolutely elite. I don't think he needs to be replaced. And then Evan Mobley, you could replace him, but he's fine. He plays solid defense. I mean, the most of the guys who people are playing at shooting guard, besides Ben Wallace, Evan Mobley, are guys who are either really expensive, like a Giannis, you can't afford him, and then a guy like a lock-in, like Cedric Maxwell and Chris Mullen, I should say. So for me personally, I don't think I would make any upgrades right now, although you do have a good squad, but I would look to upgrade that center/power forward position on Friday, depending on what comes out then, and Patrick Ewing might be a great way to do that. Next today comes in from Domich. He's got 300K, doesn't know what to run. He's got Cade and Wade. That's a good point guard duo. Giannis and 80, I like it. Mobley and Ferry. He's got elite size. The one flaw I do notice, Christian Laettner is definitely, I think, a weak spot. I think that hurts the team just a little bit. You have RJ and Ben Wallace as well. You know, with season 6 coming up here, I don't think it would be a bad idea to sell Giannis, put Ben Wallace at the 2 and run AD and Ben as your 2s, and then you can have RJ Barrett if you need another ball handler as well. I think you maybe sell Giannis, which frees up some more MT for you. Then you potentially look to pick up again. I know I've recommended him for several teams, but Patrick Ewing, again, I really do think he's an absolute dog at the power forward or center position. You can play him at power forward along with D-Rob and have those two guys as your power forwards, or you could play him at center, move Samson to the bench, and run Hakeem at the backup 4. Really kind of up to you. With this team specifically, because both Samson and Hakeem's releases aren't the greatest, I think maybe going with Ewing at the backup power forward position might be the best way to go. And I do think selling Giannis will honestly bring you benefit, because then his price may go down Friday, and you're going to have more flexibility with your MT when we get new cards on Friday. Second to last squad today comes in from Cholo. He's got almost 900K. Ja and Chauncey Billups. I don't like the lack of size at the PG position. Vincent Ray is fine. AD and Mobley also great size at the 3. Weber and Grant is also fine, and Ralph and Shaq. Okay, so for me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Shaq. I don't know if that's just me. I think at this point, the fact that he's just not able to shoot is a flaw. I think you're better off looking to pick up a guy like David Robinson. You could play D-Rob at the 5 and Ralph at the backup 5. Sell Shaq. You're not really going to lose MT on doing that either. That's just basically an even straight up swap. And I would also add a tall PG, whether that's a Cade Cunningham, whether that's a Luka. You could go get MJ, who's the best card in the game, but that's going to leave you without MT. So it's really kind of up to you what order you want to go with that. But I do think having a tall PG, whether that's an MJ, a Cade, or a Luka, depending on what you're looking for, having one of those guys is going to help your team out a lot, because John, Chauncey, if you go up against guys who are running tall PGs and are mashing you, you're just going to struggle with those two guys in the court. So for me personally, even if you do like those two cards, John and Chauncey, I think at least having a tall PG at the end of your bench so that you have that flexibility if you need them is going to be beneficial. And then I would also pick up D-Rob at the center position, and maybe even consider getting a guy like Ben Wallace to replace Ray Allen off the bench as well, because I just think Ben Wallace is better than Ray Allen, and he's only like 30K MT. I think that's a pretty simple upgrade that you can make as well to really turn this squad into a very, very good team. Last team today comes in from Hero. He's just debating on selling Zion. He's got 320K on current gem. Cade, Chauncey, I like that you have Ben off the bench. I mean, you have size at PG, and then Chauncey's a really good 300. Mullen and Wallace is great. Zion, Jeremy, Eddie Curry, Danny Ferry, D-Rob, and Hakeem. I like this squad. I really do. I think you could sell Zion back. I think that's definitely an option. I think you could potentially sell Zion and replace him with a cheap option like an Evan Mobley or even an Anthony Davis. I probably would go AD. I think AD would be a good option to replace Zion with, and that will save you MT. I think you could also keep Zion. I do think he is probably all around the best small forward in the game, but I think if you did want to save that MT for season 6, you could do that. It's really kind of up to you. And one other thing you could potentially consider doing as well if you wanted to sell Zion would be starting Danny Ferry at the 3 and then buying a guy like Patrick Ewing, and then you play Ewing at the 5, D-Rob at the 4, and Eddie Curry at the backup 4 with Hakeem at the backup 5. That will also save you some MT, and I think that will give your team a little bit more size, and that might actually be the path that I personally would go. Running a team of Cade, Chris, Ferry, D-Rob, and Ewing, and then have Billups, Ben Wallace, Jeremy Grant, Eddie Curry, and Hakeem off the bench. And then Ben Simmons can be last 3 if you need that size as well. So that's probably the way that I personally would look to upgrade the team, but you could also just sell Zion, save the MT, and hold on for season 6. So hopefully I did help y'all out in today's video. If you want to be involved in a future episode of this video, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link is always down in the description below, and be on a lookout for a tweet about this series, generally on weekends. I know this is coming on a Wednesday, but the next episode will probably be on Saturday or Sunday, and then we'll get back to doing it every single Saturday. I was just out of town all weekend, so wasn't able to get this video out until a lot later than I wanted to. So be on the lookout for a tweet about this series on Saturdays, Friday nights, Saturday nights, things like that, and drop your team under there to be involved in a future episode of the series. But hopefully y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace. If you need cheap, safe, and reliable MT to build the God Squad that you've always wanted, go to NBA2King.com and use code JC2K at checkout for 5% off.